Welcome to this training series on buttons. In this series, we will guide you through the button software, showing you step-by-step how it works, what it can do, and how it simplifies system control. In this video, we will show you how to add connections. Connect is where you set up all the equipment, software, and services you want to control from buttons. In this training, we will go through just a few examples from the extensive list of possible connections you can make. You can browse the list of connections on the webpage bitfocus.io/connections. To start adding connections, click on the Connect button in the left sidebar. This will bring you into the Connect user interface. Here you will see a connection button and an NMOS button. We will start with the connection. To the right, you will see a list over your already established connections. You can adjust the detail level of the list by clicking the button here. You will also notice that these connections have tags associated with them, and these can be used to sort the list. Like this. Now we have sorted the list by the physical location of the equipment, and you can also sort the list by type of equipment like this. This makes it much easier to manage large setups by combining the connections into logical groups. You can set up your tags according to how you like to organize your facility, whether it be by geographical location, physical location, room number, or name. It's all up to you and how your system is organized, but we will get more into tags in a later training. When you click on a connection, the settings window will appear to the right of the list, and here you will enter information necessary for the connection. In the upper right corner of the connection settings, there is a question mark. Clicking on this will bring up the connection help page. Here you can find information and help for setting up and using the connection. The label is the name used to recognize the connection in the user interface, and should be uniquely identifying so that multiple connections don't have the same name. We also recommend keeping the name short, as they also will be used on button labels. The variable key is the identifier for the variables, and should likewise also be uniquely identifying and preferably kept short. In addition, you can only use alphanumeric characters, underscores, and there can't be any spaces in the key. It's a good idea to determine ahead of time how you want to format the keys to keep them consistent. One good practice could be to use so-called camel case formatting, where the first letter of each word is capitalized. This makes the variable key easier to read. Next, we have the tags. Here you can add as many tags as you like to keep your system as organized as possible. The necessary fields for each connection will vary greatly, but for the OBS Studio connection, you can see that it requires a server IP or host name and a port number. For this connection, the port number comes pre-configured as a default, but you can change it if that port is already in use on the machine running OBS Studio. The server password is also optional for this connection, but if the software is set up with a password, you will have to enter it into this box. And as always, when you have made changes to any settings, you need to save your changes. You can do that by clicking the Save button or pressing Command-S or Control-S, depending on which operating system you are working on. There are also two expandable lists below the settings. The first one will show you all the variables coming from the OBS Studio software, with the actual values currently contained in the variable. The second list shows you the available actions for this connection. If we look at the other two connections we currently have on the system, there are a couple of things to notice. First, you will see that they use the exact same connection, indicated here by the connection name and version number. And you will also notice that this connection has a few more settings. You can set the model or let the connection auto-detect which ATEM mixer is actually connected. This feature lets you set up the connection without having the ATEM available to you for pre-programming purposes. You will also notice the router badge here in the connection list and the router notification here in the settings. This badge indicates that ATEM will be included in the automatic router section that is built into buttons. We will go more into that in a later training, where we will show you how the automatic router section can significantly speed up your setup and configuration process. There is also an added drop-down list here that will show you all of the sources and destinations that will be added into the automatic router section. Now, let's have a look at how we add connections into buttons. We start by pressing the Create button here at the top. This will bring up a list over all the available connections in buttons. There is also a link here to the right that will download the newest connections from the Bitfocus servers. The list of available connections is quite extensive, and many of them support multiple models of equipment from the same manufacturer, like the ATEM connection that supports all the past and current versions of the ATEM mixer. You can search the list by manufacturer or model name, like Sony, Ross, Barco, or QU for the QU series of mixers from Allen and Heat, or QLab for the popular software from Figure 53. You can also search for generic connections with the generic keyword, showing you the connections based around protocols like TCP, UDP, HTTP, and OSC. You can also filter the list showing you the connections supported by the automatic router sections by clicking on the button here. There is also an additional badge shown in the list here. The legacy badge indicates that the connection is not actively maintained and does not use the current connection API and needs to be updated. The connection may still work, but there may also be issues. So let us add a Blackmagic Design Video Hub router. We can do a search for Video Hub, and here at the top of the list we have the connection. In this drop-down box, we can see that we have the 2.5.0 version of the connection. If we open up the drop-down, we can see that we also have the 2.3.0 version of the connection available, and that supports the automatic router section. So let us choose that one and then click the Add button. This adds the connection to the list over current connections. You will notice that it has a yellow dot in front of it, indicating that there is a warning on the connection, and also there is an issue badge here on the Home button, indicating that there is currently one warning on the system. Don't worry about this warning right now. We will quickly sort that out. Let's just click on the connection. This will open up the connection settings. Rename the connection to a descriptive name. We will use VH12 for this connection both as a label and variable key. Then let's add the correct IP address, 192.168.0.202. As soon as you press enter, the Video Hub connects, and the input and output count will update automatically. You will also notice that the dot in front of the connection in the list turned green, and the warning badge on the Home button disappeared. Now let's add a QLab instance running on the same machine as buttons. Just press the Create button. Search for QLab. Click the Add button. Change the label and variable key. And enter the local loopback IP, 127.0.0.1. For this connection, we also need to add a passcode for the OSC connection, which is set to 4199. When you press Save, or use Command S or Control S, the connection will connect, and you are ready to control QLab. This concludes the training on connections. In the next training, we will explore how to add and configure NMOS connections into buttons.
I hope this was helpful. Make sure to subscribe for more training videos like this.